Hello and welcome to United Bloodline. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mike.
He's me dad.
This is my son.
And we're here to talk all things United. Now let's get started, Dad. I mean, where do we even begin? We could go straight into talking about United versus Brighton, but ultimately the problem's not on the pitch. I think a lot of United fans know that. So to go there, I think is pointless right now. What's the bigger problem? What's going on? Why the hell are we losing 3-1 at home with no disrespect to Brighton? But with the investment in the club, the team we have on the field, there should have been a better performance. Tell me.
Totally agree. As I said, there's more happening off the pitch these days than there's actually on the pitch. I've been watching Man United for 60 years, Danny, and I've never known the last 10 years so much off the scene happening. And I can look at the Manchester United team at the moment, and there's at least 6 to 7 players who, to me, are in the news for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. We've only got to look at Sancho, Anthony, Greenwood, Maguire. It's just this spiral of constant news away from the team that Ten Hag's got to deal with. And, something I want to address that I'm frustrated in seeing yesterday, some conversation, only little bits of it, but saying maybe Ten Hag's not good enough. This is the first game where I started to really doubt Ten Hag. What a load of rubbish. I want to put it out there. Load of crap. Ten Hag is not the problem. You've only got to look. You had Moyes, then you had Van Gaal, you had Mourinho, you've had Solskjaer, you've had Rangnick, 5 managers, and in there was some good quality. Mourinho and Van Gaal themselves, got a great track record. The issue is not the manager. You go and sack Ten Hag, then what? You go and bring in someone else to start the process all again. It's not. It shouldn't be that case. I don't know what your thoughts are, but sacking or even the contemplation of sacking him is ridiculous.
Totally agree, Danny. I think Ten Hag, to me, look at last season. He certainly produced some great positive performances.
Yeah.
As I say, the problem seems to be more off the pitch these days
than it is on the pitch. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we'll be going in a moment about some of the tactical decisions Ten Hag made that I didn't necessarily agree with, but the bigger picture here is not Ten Hag. I'm going to put it out there, I am in here now to support Ten Hag whatever results he gets in the next few games. If we lose some more than we win, to be honest, I'm still going to back him, because if I look last season, I remember saying to you, you know what, I'm at a point with United where I'm just going to support the manager now. Whatever the result we get, if he finishes 6th, if he finishes 7th, I'm going to support him. I'm going to see it a long-term process. You've only got to look at Mikel Arteta. A lot of Arsenal fans at a period were so eager to get him out of the club. Now, obviously, they've been ran differently and so on, but there's just an inkling to say, give someone time. But even giving Ten Hag time, he's not the problem. Who's the problem?
Well, I still come back to the hierarchy of United, because I think United.
The clowns. Yeah, the clowns.
I think United is in decay.
Yeah.
And I think they're very wasteful, and it's an institution, and it needs to be addressed. And until that's addressed, these problems aren't going to go away.
Well, only it gets addressed one way, and that one way is by the clowns, Joel Glazer, Avram Glazer. Look at them, they look like idiots, to be honest with you. No United fan really likes them. They bought the club with debt, and they don't give a crap. They don't actually care whether United win on the pitch or if they don't. You've only got to look at, I believe we signed a new deal, didn't we? Sponsorship with Snapdragon. Don't hold me to that name, but I believe it's Snapdragon. Money. As long as they get their money out at the end of the year, they couldn't give a toss about the performance on the field. So you go and sack Ten Hag, and then the whole cycle starts again, and you bring someone in, a few good games, but the cycle starts again. So what are your thoughts? How do we actually move forward from here?
Well, I think the CEO, people like Arnold, I got a question.
And Murtaugh, yeah.
I've got to question the suitability of these people. I mean, recruitment at United.
Terrible.
And also the contracts they're giving out to these players as well.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And this fiasco at the moment, where we're trying to offload players this summer, and it's just unbelievable what's happening.
You know what, United, and some people might not agree with this, but the way that I look at it, it's almost like United have become, in some ways, like an MLS club, right? You remember a few years back where you had David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. They'd all go towards the latter end of their career over to America. You look at United, we had Cavani who come to the end of his career. Ronaldo, he did well, but he was coming to the latter end. You've got Casemiro, you've got Varane. With the greatest of respect, they're all good players, but you can't build a future with them. You can't start planning 5-6 years ahead with them in your team, because ultimately they're not going to be around, and they're coming to United on big paychecks. So they're happy, they're playing football, but you can't build a team around players of that age who are coming towards the end of their career. I don't care how you want to brush it up, I don't care how they perform. Yeah, they've played well, but ultimately you cannot build a team around it.
It seems to be when you bring these big players in, it seems to be a crowd pleaser, and to me, you've hit the nail right on the head. You have to get young blood, and you've got to look at it. There's a project that's going to be over 5 to 10 years, and these players certainly don't fit that criteria.
Yeah. So look into the game now. Yesterday, the day after the night before or the day before, and for United fans, we started well. First 15-20 minutes, I thought, you know what, Ten Hag's give these players a kick up the arse. We're performing well, and you know what, I think we could kick on from here. We could get a few goals. We might win this game quite comfortably because of the start that we had.
I thought United I was very impressed with United. They played a diamond shape. I think they've certainly caught Brighton out with the tactics in the first 20 minutes or so. But I think once Brighton realised what United were, they started to use the wings and made it a wider. You opened the pitch right up.
Yeah, exactly. After the first 20 minutes, you're seeing what I saw the formation as was a 4-3-3. Now, some people have seen this diamond, but actually what I was seeing was Eriksen on the left of midfield, McTominay on the right, Casemiro in the middle, and almost like a front three, because I was seeing more Højlund up top. Fernandes was floating around a little bit, but here was, for me, the big issue was Eriksen and McTominay were hugely exposed, because you had Veltman and Lamptey both stretching the pitch, because De Zerbi obviously saw this, or the players realised the way that it was being played, so they were just pinning their right and left back on the wings, and then they were enticing United in, and then just throwing it out, and with one pass, just beating United. And you know what? The press was pathetic. I've got my notes here, and the press was absolutely ridiculous. You watched it with me.
I think Brighton was a well-drilled team.
Yeah.
Slick passing. And I look back at United yesterday, and they tend to pass the ball sideways and backwards. There's no real urgency about the play. As you say, the press, the whole thing about United, very disjointed.
Yeah, awful. And I'm here to call out a couple players, because I think as fans, we have the right to do so. When a player doesn't perform, then we're there to say it. I think, first of all, Eriksen and Casemiro, again, it comes back to what we've just said. You can't build a 5-6 year plan on with these players, because they're coming towards the latter end of their career. And it was clear yesterday, Casemiro's legs, not there. He looks like for the past 5 weeks he's been on an all-inclusive holiday, stuffs his face with food and drink, come back for the first few games, and looks well out of shape. Eriksen, like I say, not got the legs. Casemiro was great last season, so I'm not saying that, but I'm basing it on where we are now. And those two, they look out of place for me. They're not looking up to match fitness. They're not looking sharp. And Rashford, Marcus Rashford, come through United's setup. He's one player in that team, more than others, that should be playing for the badge. He knows it more than anyone else. And I'm sorry, but the way he's lethargic sometimes, running, he looks like he can't be bothered. We were watching it this morning again, some highlights, and you can see he's jogging, the players are running past him, passing. Yeah, he's great, he'll score some goals, but that's not good enough now. In modern day football, you've only got to look at the Man Cities, the Arsenal, the Liverpools, who we're competing against. Some of their best players will score goals, but they'll run the socks off for the team. And I'm not seeing that from players like him.
Well, I think Højlund again yesterday was a great example. He was very positive for United. Very unfortunate. Another VAR result went against us, but then but he took his opportunity well. He certainly got that in his locker. I thought Reguilón came on, and I thought I was quite impressed. He sort of had something about him yesterday.
He did, yeah. He played well. Yeah, absolutely. Performed well. I was a bit sceptical seeing him in the team. I thought he was going to start Dalot on the left, Wan-Bissaka on the right. I was intrigued to see how it went. I think it went okay. And there was another time in the game. It was the first goal. Rasmus Højlund, again coming back to the press, presses the ball, and no one's following. Brighton literally cut through it like they're cutting through butter for fun. And Lallana is at the same starting point as Scott McTominay. Lallana is sprinting into the box to want to score the goal, while McTominay's doing a little jog and doesn't even get into a sprint. So Lallana, at the point of the cross coming in for Welbeck's goal, Lallana is there right on the byline of the 6-yard space for Onana. Right there or thereabouts. Ball comes through him. McTominay is somewhere around the edge of the box. Just the willingness and the desire to want to get in and stop the goal is not there from pretty much all of them.
Well, I thought Welbeck came back after 10 years leaving Old Trafford. Came back and he showed us how to score goals. It was quite. I mean, coming back to Brighton now, and it goes dwelling on what we were talking about before. I mean, that team yesterday was cost Brighton 16 million.
16 million, yeah.
16 million, and it's about that. That's got to be the most well-managed Premiership team at the moment.
Yeah.
Right from the directors right through to the manager and the way the guys,
players are performing as well.
That's correct. That's right.
And even the directors, the owners above that as well. It goes to show that United just forget the players on the pitch, because that is such a small portion of Manchester United, the club that we see. There's so much that we don't see that is an absolute mess. Absolute mess. I can't even begin to imagine what it's like for Ten Hag to want to get rid of players, want to buy players, and he doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He doesn't know. At Ajax, he's come from a really well-run club. Worked within their means, won everything he could there with a squad with limitations. Come to United, supposed to be a bigger club, which they are, but in terms of facilities and everything else that gets offered to him, it just doesn't seem to be the case. Especially when you look at things like the spend that Brighton have had. Well,
I feel embarrassed for Ten Hag actually, because he's the one who's got to sit up front before and after each game and explain United's poor form. And to be fair to the guy, his hands are tied.
Yeah,
I suppose his real feelings he can't say.
Well, he can't. No player, no manager can come out in a press conference and go, you know what, the Glazers, they don't support me. The directors are just yes men for them. He can't. Yes, I know he gets his paycheck and so on, but he can't actually voice his real opinion. Neither can the players. The players, when they come out in press conferences, they're all scripted, and that's why we have, channels like this. We're here to really, I think, voice the opinion of what Ten Hag really feels and what he's thinking.
Well, we're actually saying what we believe, and I think that's. And there's a lot of people. You only look at the papers today. I mean, shambles, and the media do love a good story. And at the moment, you can't blame the media for attacking United, but it's embarrassing to see.
Yeah, as a United fan, it's not great. And the other big kicker for me was I watched the Brighton against Newcastle game a few weeks back, and you had Ferguson, you had João Pedro. They played fantastic. United played Brighton yesterday. De Zerbi made 6 changes from the team that beat Newcastle. 6 changes, so more than half the team. So he's changed his team, and for me, on paper, we should have had Ferguson on João Pedro, because they come on later on, and João Pedro got a goal. But the fact that he's able to make so many changes and still win a game 3-1, it could have actually been more if it wasn't for Onana making a few saves, is absolutely pathetic. Pathetic.
I feel sorry for him, because obviously if you look at United's injuries at the moment, there's a lot of great players are out of the team, and you look at the quality that came on yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to Hannibal, came on, and what a young guy. He took his goal amazing, and you could see
great goal.
You could see the joy.
Yeah.
And that's what I call a Manchester United player.
Yeah, it was refreshing to see Hannibal come on there and get a goal. I think that was a bright moment in an otherwise very dull game besides the first 20 minutes. And we sit there, we watch the game, and like me and you and many other fans, I don't know where United are at the moment. I thought last year we've made a progression. Now I'm sat here thinking, you know what? Bayern Munich on Wednesday. At Bayern Munich, I'm dreading that game, to be quite honest with you. I don't see how it goes. I don't even see how United really have a chance at the moment, the way that they're playing. Although it could go either way, but how do you see us moving forwards from here? Because I see this as a moment now where it's probably a bit of a downhill slope for Ten Hag and the team.
Well, it's not all doom and gloom, Danny. I do believe we'll pick our wounds after yesterday. I like to think that there's a bit of pride in that team still, and hopefully we'll make a good game against Bayern Munich. It's going to be a tough game, without a shadow of doubt. But I think the key to this is the young blood as well. When you look back at the class of '92, you've got to give these young kids an opportunity and blend in a bit of experience with them as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, based on the performance there, Hannibal, he should be given a chance, because he can't play any worse than what some of them other players did yesterday. Gutless, heartless, don't seem to care. I would love to get on that pitch because it'd give me everything for Manchester United, and they just seem like they don't actually care sometimes, which is frustrating. So I want to leave this now with just your thoughts here, and to put it out, do you back Ten Hag 100% whatever happens now moving forwards?
The problem isn't Ten Hag. I've said that from day one. I mean, he's come in to try and steady this ship. He's like the captain's ship. Yeah. They're in choppy waters at the moment. I mean, in the next few weeks, I believe, hopefully this will all be forgot about. A few players come back from injury, and then hopefully we'll move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. But if the results continue in the same path, are you still behind him?
100% behind Ten Hag. Because the problem isn't Ten Hag. As I said, it all stems from the top.
Yeah.
And the recruitments and the whole and there's a lot of things happening outside the club at the moment, and like it or not, they will reflect back on the field.
That's it. So I want to put it out there, because I don't want to witch hunt in a few weeks' time if the results continue on the same pathway for Ten Hag to leave, because that's not going to fix anything, not going to solve anything. All you're going to start doing is papering over some cracks, and you're forgetting the bigger issue. It's kind of like changing the tyres on a car when the engine's gone. It doesn't solve anything. Not going to fix anything. So I just want to think bigger picture, long term. doing that kind of thing is not going to help us. So that concludes our session, and we'll be back with our pre-match thoughts ahead of Bayern Munich on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. But I've been Danny.
And I'm Mike.
And he's me dad.
This is me son.
And we'll see you again on our next video.
See you next one.